What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another Monday Scale News Update. If you're not familiar with the show, we talk about the topics in the scale world of RC that happened over the last week. Let's jump into this week's topics. After Axial Fest last week, one of the vendors that was over dropped me off a new product that was designed for the Bomber RR10. Now, this is a 3D printed radiator setup that goes behind the cockpit, obviously, and it's got two fans as well as a custom PCB board that goes in behind that has LEDs in it. Now, this all ties into your radio system though and is modulated by the throttle channel on your radio. The overall design and engineering behind this piece is really interesting and well done. The custom printed PCB board, pretty far out there for something that is done on such a low volume or something that I've seen so few of so far. Now, I haven't seen a bunch of information on where this is going to be available yet. KLP Hobby, I'll link them below. They're the ones who dropped it off to me. They also carry his 3D printed front radiator that's designed for the Vanquish Ripper project. Now, if you haven't seen that before, I'll link that one below, and then hopefully when this one becomes available, it will also be available through KLP. I'll also try and find his Instagram account and link that in the description below. This week, Futaba USA has announced that they've reopened in their Huntsville, Alabama headquarters. Now, Futaba has kind of been MIA since the departure from Hobbyco. Hobbyco had the exclusive distribution rights to Futaba in the US. And once Horizon had acquired Hobbyco, they were in more of an interest to keep distributing Spectrum over continuing the distribution of Futaba. So there's been this void in the market for Futaba support as of late, but hopefully with the announcement that their new headquarters is up and running, hopefully we'll start seeing product more readily available from Futaba. So hopefully those dealers that were carrying Futaba before will now start to order direct from Futaba USA to keep their stock back in check. I know there's a lot of other Futaba users out there like myself who really are in need of receivers and servos. So hopefully we start to see those things back in stock. I'll put a link to Futaba USA's new website in the description below as well. Sometime back, Redcat had announced that they were going to start carrying a portal axle, and it looks like they've started to ship some of those early versions out to early orderers. Now, these are a portal axle that looks a lot like the Traxxas in general. I don't believe that it's got the locking and unlocking differentials, but the overall design with how the C-hubs go on and the portal boxes look, everything else about it is very much Traxxas-like. I've seen pictures available and a part number, but I haven't seen hard costs yet. If I can find any of that information, I'll link it below. And speaking of Redcat, I got an email this week saying that they were going to be announcing 5 new vehicles in early August. Now, the pictures that they're showing are kind of silhouetted versions of these 5 vehicles. One of them you can tell is significantly larger than the other 4. So that either means that they're going to be releasing a 5th scale monster truck, or they're releasing 4 new 1/24 scale models. My guess is most likely they're going to release something along the lines of that 5th scale monster truck, and these other 4 models are going to be standard 1/10 scale. From the silhouette pictures, one of them looks a whole lot like an axial Yeti. You can tell it's got a solid axle rear, and just by the looks of the front fenders that are silhouetted and things like that, it looks like it's going to be an IFS front. I'm guessing that the other ones are going to be a little bit more outside of our market, but once we see the official info on those, if any of those pique my interest, we'll definitely come back and take a look at what they're releasing. For you Vanquish VS410 owners, the Scale Builders Guild has added a new 3D printed Fairlead to their Shapeways store, which I'll link below. And speaking of Shapeways, James Knight from Knight Customs has also shown a version of his VS410 with the top removed and his 3D printed cage installed inside. So you can start to see some more options and things that people are doing with it. I've seen some amazing paint jobs on those rigs so far. Overall, the detail has just been really cool, and it's been awesome to see. I'll throw a link to the Knight's Custom Shapeways store below as well. For those of you that are hard body fans out there, Extra Speed has posted up a long wheelbase or 4-door version of the Mitsubishi Pajero body. Now, hard body, ABS, obviously this is going to be a custom application or custom builds. If you guys are interested in that type of thing, I'll try and find some information to link below as well. And that'll pretty much do it for the RC news. But before we get on to questions, I just want to wish that anyone in the NorCal area that's affected by the fires is safe. I hope you got the things that are irreplaceable taken out with you. I just hope that you or your families or anyone you know in the area is doing all right. Best wishes to all of you up there, and I just hope that you, your families, and your friends, your pets are all safe. But with that, let's jump into some of the questions. I made some posts on Instagram and Facebook asking for questions for the scale news. Let's go through a handful of them and see what we've got. The first one is, will the VS410 axles be available separately? It's a question we've got a lot. For right now, no, they will not be offered separately. If anything happens and there needs to be some sort of warranty issue, those would always absolutely be covered, but available separately for sale, not at the current time. If you were to build a hard body scaler, what would it be? Normally I would say that most of that hard body type, appeal for me comes into like the trucks that I have that are a tube chassis with hard panels or something like that. But I also did just buy that Cross GC4, and that is obviously a hard body, and then it'll give me the ability to still do something cool and custom on the back. So kind of along the lines of how I normally approach things. What will be the likely replacement now that the Yeti Score TT is discontinued? Well, I think that Horizon discontinued the Yeti TT Score partially because the licensing had expired, but also they have the Baja Ray, which fits a very similar bill. So I think that they're going to use that as the replacement for their product line in that market. What's my favorite style of egg? Over easy. What's your opinion on team drivers in the scale crawling world? Team drivers can add a lot of exposure to a company, especially when they market something well. There's also times that you see team drivers who don't market things well. It's all in the person that the company chooses. It can be done well, it can be done poorly. I was team drivers for companies a lot when I was earlier getting into it. Since then, I've really drawn myself back from it, and I try not to overly participate in a lot of that. There's still a lot of companies I support, I just don't go with that team driver status. This one wasn't a question, but says, Horizon announced 2019 Axial Fest at the end of the raffle. Now, I did not participate in the raffle at Axial Fest. I find that to be a better time to go run trails and not necessarily looking to win prizes. So it looks like maybe we are going to see an Axial Fest in 2019 again. So hopefully they keep along that path and nothing changes in the year ahead. Will VP be making the Origin shock towers available in aluminum? The VS410 shock towers will definitely be available in aluminum before too long. And I think that will do it for this week's Scale News Update. Thanks for watching, guys. Like the video if you enjoyed it. Subscribe if you're not already. Hope you all have an awesome week, and see you on the next one.